Good morning, it's Jonathan Barratt with the morning debrief for Tuesday, April the 13th. Quite a bit of a night there where the market sort of had to absorb a lot of information, particularly a lot of that information out of Greece in terms of the stimulus, not the stimulus package, the rescue package. We also had some relatively good reportings from Alcoa, and obviously the market had to contend with those moves yesterday, particularly in the US dollar. And those moves in the US dollar, as a result of what happened in Greece, saw US dollar weakness for some time. However, throughout the night, it gradually came back. So some good moves in gold, and looks like we've seen also some profit taking there, and some good moves in the Aussie, and we saw some profit taking as well. Let's go through and have a little bit of a wrap as to what did occur. And there we go. There we are, just an idea of what's happening there in the market. As we mentioned, the Dow managed to scrape above that 11,000. Very important for it to stay through that level. Had a little bit of a venture up higher, but it's going to be interesting to see if it stays there. The local market closed just under that 5,000 mark, so that's 4,999. And we really need to see that market move and stay above those areas. In terms of being more confident that our equity markets can move on. The more it stays at these levels, the more of a concern we'll hold. It really has to start to move on. We have to see it trade 5,000, 20, 30, and 40 so we can keep that momentum going with us. So very critical to keep an eye on it. The S&P was up 2, the Nasdaq was up 3.8. As we mentioned, some pretty solid numbers, particularly out of Alcoa, and that certainly helped the mining sector up. The Stoic was up 3,000, or up 8 points. The FTSE was up 6, the DAX was up 9, and the CAC was down 0.4. Market is absorbing what's happening in the Greece situation. Not a lot to go on by, but let's hope we're not stalling there in terms of that economic recovery, and also stalling in terms of those equity markets, which have certainly been trading well over the last week or so. Let's see, here we go, just a couple of the big news. Alcoa lost narrows, which is good, so that's a very positive thing. China scales back purchasing rules for local governments. That's something to keep an eye on. They are really trying to control their inflation there, and whether or not that feeds back into the demand for commodities is an interesting thing. One thing we have noticed is the Baltic Dry Index rate has fallen substantially, and with that we've seen a lot of the commodity prices come under pressure. That is something we're following, and as people would know, we're out of our commodity currency, which is the Aussie. We've been long for some time. We're out of our copper trades. We're not in crude anymore. So quite a different ball game at the moment, which we're just trying to develop. So quite interesting in terms of that front as well. Okay, let's have a quick look at some of the currencies and see how that dollar index is behaving after those moves. The dollar index, 80.63. Now, you will have noticed that the trading range last night, it came out of the blocks quite low. And there you can see it there. Let's just get rid of that. Out of the blocks quite low, had a low down at 80.25. The market thought it was shot. It's just seen a range in my mind. That is a low for the range, and that US dollar can, I think, start to trade a little bit higher, maybe fill in that gap back to 81. But let's see how that unfolds. On the back of that, we saw that Aussie reach to it opened up on this yesterday morning, an amazing trade, and then proceeded to trade lower. That's it looking there. We took profits out at 93.37, just we thought, and she's continued to under pressure. 92.58 is where the market is. We're sort of on this trend line, a little bit of a trend. It still concludes a bit of a range. Let's have a look at this the daily chart. And as you can see, we've been up here a few times, and if it breaks below that 92.20, then I'll probably suggest we're a little bit more consolidation. But anyway, let's see how that unfolds. Having a look at the euro, 135.89. Had that big move yesterday, but seems to have come back on itself. A little bit confused on what's happening there, but this is a move that's found a little bit of support here, which you'd expect. I'd be a bit concerned if it broke through that 35.50, but as I said, if I can fill that gap back to 135, I think I might actually look at buying it. Have a look at the local market. Let's look at the SPY now. There it is, 49. Let's see it stay. Let's see it move above these levels. Let's see it start to open into a new and higher range. This does look like a blow-off. It looks like it's still consolidating, but too early to tell whether or not this is a top of any major significance. I like to think that it's just a consolidation for a move higher, but next couple of days we'll certainly tell on that. Now, just last night, letting everyone know, we actually mentioned on our Twitter and also mentioned on our Facebook that we've taken some long positions in some of the softs. These are just longs that we're feeling it's right time to have a look. Look at the daily charts. We went long wheat, we went long corn, and we went long soya. That's the daily chart we're going to run with at the moment. And obviously we want to see a break through that 460. We're long around that 460 anyway, so let's see how that trades. Corn, same sort of deal here, just bumming around there on the bottom, but we do like it. And, you know, we will be quick if, in fact, it does break through that 344 to scratch the trade. But we said there's some significant lows there at 302 and the like, and I'm still feeling that we're getting close to a low there. And I'm just testing the water with this trade. Okay, so it's not a major trade, but just testing the water. Soybeans at 960, 960 and 3/4. I like it once again. You can see that it's just sort of this bottoming out process where we're living with. And when you do look at it, this feels like consolidation for an eventual move back up through that 1,000, but time will tell on that. Economic numbers today, and economic numbers, NAB business confidence out, which will be interesting, condominium sales in Tokyo, CPI out there in France, and CPI out there in Germany. I've also got some important data, the trade balances out in the US, and ABC consumer confidence. So there's quite a bit of data out there at the moment. It's going to be quite interesting. We've still got our trades on board, which I've mentioned throughout the trade, throughout the commentary. So let's see how that unfolds. But anyway, have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.